Friday?
Can you just leave a crack open?
Okay, there we go.
Because we also have.
Keep it up. There's people out there, keep it up. I apologize. Usually we shut it, but I didn't realize we had the, there. Oh, yeah. Okay. Good morning. It's Wednesday, January 12th. It's, Senate Agriculture. We got a busy day. We have a full room. We're going to talk about Farm to School and Early Childhood Day. We have Dana Hudson from Vermont Farm to School and Early Childhood Network. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody.
The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So my name, my name is Dana Hudson, and I am the coordinator of the Vermont Farm to School and Early Childhood Network. My employer is Shelburne Farms, but I actually work for the hundreds of educators, administrators, farmers, school food professionals, organizations, and businesses that make up our robust network. And most importantly, I'm really working for the thousands of young Vermont students that are participating in Farm to School and Farm to Early Childhood programs. First, I want to thank you all for having us here today to share about the impact of Farm to School and Farm to Early Childhood that has on Vermonters. It supports our schools, our farmers, our local food economy, and our communities. We are asking you to support the governor's budget proposal for both the Vermont Farm to School and Early Childhood Grant Program and the Local Food Incentive Program, with level funding base appropriations of $500,000 each. The Vermont Farm to School and Early Childhood Network was created in 2008 to address a growing movement of schools that want to serve local products in their cafeterias while using food and farming as an integrated education tool to address student learning and engagement. So here you can just sort of see the goal, and this is in that PowerPoint, that the goal of the network, and keep going. You can see this is addressed in our 3C models of change. That for long-term staying power, you need to be connecting the classroom, the cafeteria, and the community. Go ahead and give all some pictures. You're actually going to meet one of these teachers today. You go ahead. So all 3 C's. Go ahead, the last one. Oh, actually, I'm sorry for that one. Sorry. Yeah, and I just want to share a personal story. So I've actually seen the impact of Farm to School firsthand. The school that my own children go to has a chicken coop, a beehive, fruit trees, and a prolific garden. Their Farm to School program is woven into the school curriculum. It's not just an add-on. Every child in that school gets a chance to experience all these activities every single year they're in that building. They come home with stories and memories, but more importantly, they feel a deep connection to their food, their community, and the world that they live in. So Vermont has invested in 3 key programs to improve student health and learning that is also benefiting our farmers. These 3 cornerstone programs that we are asking for you to support. First is a Rosa McLaughlin Farm to School Grant Program that was started in 2006 and has since served over 300 schools and early childhood programs in every county of our state. The program provides capacity building and technical assistance to schools and early childhood programs to develop and strengthen their farm to school activities. Second, we hope you'll support the Local Food Incentive Program that supports increased local purchasing so that more of the $25 million that schools spend each year on food stays here in the Vermont economy and with Vermont farmers. We actually know from a UVM study that every dollar that is spent on local food adds an additional 60 cents to the Vermont economy. And we now have over 100 farms across the state that are selling to schools and to early childhood programs. Third, the Universal School Meals that ensures equitable access to school meals for every student in every zip code in our state. Since for many students, half their daily calories come from school meals. We know it's essential for our students' health, their learning, and their success to access nourishing meals. So we call this graphic the virtuous cycle of Farm to School. It's how Farm to School and Universal Meals work together. They work together to increase participation in school meals, which then improves the revenues in that program, which allows more local purchasing and fresh nourishing meals, leading to more participation. So it is a cyclical pattern. Today, you will hear directly from the teachers, students, farmers, school food professionals, food hubs, and technical assistance providers on how Farm to School is making a difference. We'll take some questions after each speaker, and then we're hoping that we'll have enough time at the end for some discussion. And I also want to remind you of the handouts that I sent ahead of time. I also have paper copies, if you'd like a paper copy of the 2 handouts. And of course, if after this there's other questions, reach out anytime. I'm happy to answer them. And so we're really looking forward to your support. Full funding for the local food incentive at $500,000 level-based funding, and the Farm to School and Early Childhood Grant Program at level-based funding of $500,000. These programs make a huge difference in the ability of schools to buy food from Vermont farmers and engage our students in understanding where our food comes from and how programs like this work together to support Vermont families, Vermont farmers, and Vermont children.
Do you have a line in the budget right now?
Yes, it is. It's currently in the governor's proposed budget.
And how much?
So $500,000 in the Vermont Farm to School Grant Program and $500,000 for the local food incentive program.
Okay, so you're asking exactly what he has.
Asking just for base funding, to continue funding that exists.
Okay, thank you. What school this year?
I have both my children. I had gone through Crossbrook Middle School. So my first one actually just left there 2 years ago, but my youngest is still there.
And what town?
I'm sorry, Duxbury, Vermont.
Oh.
Yeah. They have programs at their elementary school as well and the high school, but I've been very excited by the level of engagement they've had at the middle school level to learn about and feel ownership of the chickens, the garden, the beehives. So we just worked with them to get 5 more bee suits that are kid size.
Oh, yeah. Really, any more questions before we move on? Oh, what do you have next?
Well, we've got a full lineup for you.
I didn't know if you were.
No, I'm all done, and we have a full lineup. You can see we have lots of folks that are ready to share their stories.
Sure.
So next we'll have Misha Johnson from the White River Valley School District.
Good morning.
Morning, good morning, welcome.
Thank you for having me
The floor is
today.
yours.
I'm very nervous, just so you know.
Yeah, it's fine.
So now
Tell
my
us who
comfort
you-
zone.
Just tell us who you are and let it rip.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm gonna read my speech. Thank you for inviting me to testify.
You gotta tell us who you are.
Sorry, my name is Misha Johnson. I'm the Food Service Director of Child Nutrition at White River Valley Supervisory Union down in Windsor, Vermont.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me to testify today. Thank you for your support of Farm to School in the early childhood in Vermont. For the record, my name is Misha Johnson. I'm the Child Nutrition Food Service Director for White River Valley Supervisory Union, located in Littleton, Vermont. Our food program serves all 8 schools within WRVSU's 6 districts, feeding close to 1,300 students, an average of 1,175 meals each school day. I'm here to ask that you please support the Farm to School and Early Childhood Program and the local food incentive with a level funding based appropriation of $500,000 for fiscal year 2026, and also to continue funding universal meals through the education fund. These 2 programs together ensure that all children receive high quality meals at school, and that we are supporting our agricultural families and businesses across the state. My role as a child nutrition director is to ensure that all children located within the walls of our supervisory union have access to the nutrition they need to grow and learn. I do this by creating menus that are both nutritious and appealing to young people, offering them choices for breakfast, lunch, and snacks. We offer salad bars in all of our schools with a variety of fresh fruits and vegetables, and always have a fruit selection available all day, anytime a student needs a food boost. Since 2010, I've been working in child nutrition in schools. Over the years, I've learned a lot and have been able to witness firsthand the differences in meal participation when state and federal programs shift and change. In the last 3 years, we've been working with the Universal Meals Program and the Local Food Incentive Grant, and the results are significant and rewarding. The combination of these 2 amazing programs has meant that our team's limited time and funding can be laser focused on crafting menus and meals that meet the nutritional needs and food preferences of our students, instead of chasing free and reduced paperwork. For example, since 2023, as we had shifted our focus to increasing the percentage of local foods we serve to meet the Local Foods Incentive Grant threshold, Our lunch participation has increased by almost 20%. That translates to roughly 120 more students eating school lunch each day. The numbers and the anecdotes from students, teachers, and families tell us that higher quality and higher value ingredients drive higher participation numbers in our nutrition program. One of our districts, White River Unified District, was awarded a Farm to School and Early Childhood Capacity Building Grant in 2024, which has allowed our Farm to School coordinator to jump in and boost our efforts to work with hyper-local producers. Because of this work, we are purchasing from 2 producers in Royalton, Roma's Butchery and Moon and Stars. Beyond the delicious foods we are serving from our local partners, real-life learning and connections are possible with these local farmers and food business owners. Students know the people who are growing and making the food they are eating, and this makes a real impact. Based on our efforts to prioritize local items on our school menus, we will receive roughly $33,000 of supplemental spending power from the local food incentive grant to invest into our meal program. This incentive fully covers the cost of purchasing 100% local beef from Roma's and tortilla chips and empanadas from Moon and Stars. He's actually here today. These high-quality foods are a point of pride for our program because we know the multiple benefits they can offer to students and our farming community. In addition to local beef and Moon and Stars corn products on our menus, we serve Vermont-grown eggs, yogurt, apple, maple syrup, sausage, buttermilk, and pizza. And I'm always looking for new local products. My goal is to make our menu as locally sourced as possible. We are an agricultural community in an agricultural state. Serving our community's products to our children is the right thing to do for the kids, for the farmers, and for everyone. Universal meals are also incredibly important to our food program. In the era before universal meals, heartbreaking situations turning children away from the meal line were the norm, not the exception. I recall one such an event. I was told that a particular student's meal bill was too high, and I was to provide an alternate meal. When I handed the student the cold cheese sandwich instead of the hot meal being served that day, this child, a joyful, spirited little 5 or 6-year-old burst into tears. They could not possibly understand why this was happening. This broke my heart, and I vowed to never do this again to another student. Many others have had similar experiences. Instead of nutrition staff paying out of instances of nutrition staff paying out of their own pockets for children's meals were common. Since COVID, every universal meals were turned into law in 2023. We have been able to intentionally purchase more locally grown and made foods, knowing that we have guaranteed revenues that can be invested in quality foods. So we see these 2 programs, Farm to School Local Food Incentive and Universal Meals, as essential to our ability to buy locally. Thank you so much for your time here today and for all the work you do every day to support our families and farmers. Thank you for listening to my testimony and considering the real impacts of Farm to School and Early Childhood Program and the Local Food Incentive. Level funding based appropriation of $500,000 for fiscal year 2026, as well as the continuation of universal meals through the education fund, means that we can continue this important work of nourishing children with foods grown right here in our own communities. I would be happy to answer any questions and share more information with any of you. Please do not hesitate to reach out if you have a need or interest. Thank you.
That's Eric.
So I had the opportunity to partake in one of your meals on Pizza Day.
Okay.
Because I was part of a Veterans Day pageant, and you do a tremendous job,
Thank you so much.
and you should be incredibly proud of this job
Thank you.
and
I
what
agree
you
to
and
you.
your team do. This is vitally important work, and I know it is heartfelt. So I just want to commend you and your staff.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate that.
At the level where you're at, with your funding and all of that, can you just take a couple minutes and maybe tell us the last few years about, how it's been? Is there any strains on your budgets? Are you finding it's harder to make your budget threat with buying local, or are there pressures to buy, cheaper, product? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, luckily, my superintendent is very supportive of all of the work that we do. And the fact that we are guaranteed a reimbursement for every single meal we sell with the universal meals is, I have no pressure from them. They just trust me. So, I'm gonna be completely honest, budgets, we're working on them. We just came together as a supervisory unit for our child nutrition program. When I started in 2020, there were in the 8 schools, there were 8 separate child nutrition. Everybody did their own menu. Everybody did their own thing. So we've just been coming together for the past 3 years, and we didn't even have a food service director. I was a manager for the Bethel and Royalton schools. I campaigned to my superintendent that we need a food service director, whether it's me or somebody else. Ended up being me, thankfully. So it's my first year there, and I was very honest with everybody from the get-go. Like, I know from my background, like spending, but I don't know exactly what my budget is. I'm not gonna lie. I'm working on it. I'm learning as I go.
But being that now that you're taking how many schools?
We have 8 schools.
8 schools, and you're trying to make the same menu for every day.
We've been doing it.
So that's gotta create a lot better buying power.
Absolutely.
So you're getting more bang for your buck out of that's a tremendous idea. I hope that more schools start following that.
I love it. Yes. I was hired as the coordinator when this idea first came to the MISU. They hired me along with managing Bethel and Royalton cafeterias to be the coordinator for all 8 schools. Now, I went in to schools that had food kitchen managers that were there for 20 years, that here I come like, so it took a whole year for everybody to get to trust me and come believe in me that I'm here and want to do better for our kids, for everybody. So 3 years in, then I got the position of food service director, and I have an amazing team, 18 people on my team throughout the 8 schools, and we do a good job.
Sometimes we're tasked with asking the hard questions that we get from the community because you always hear it. So what would you say to the people that are saying that since the universal school meals have been put together, there's a lot of waste? What would you say to that?
We work on waste every day. We also offer versus serve in our school, which means the components that we're required to serve on a tray, kids can choose what they want, which cuts back on waste. There's always going to be waste. Right now in the Bethel school, we actually have a little waste challenge going on for each lunch. And for each lunch, we have a bucket. And at the end of right before break, we're going to just figure out which lunch had the least amount of waste, and they're getting a pizza party on the last day before break.
So is your opinion that you're
Continuous
not
work.
seeing any more waste than what you did before?
No, not at all. If anything, I feel like we see less.
Make sure you're aware of it. and
Oh,
you guys work
absolutely.
on
It's a big thing.
Well, nice. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for
Appreciate you
hearing
coming
me.
in.
Thank
You
you.
did great.
Thank
So
you.
Don't be nervous anymore.
Sorry. No, I'm gonna come in some hands.
How are you?
Thank you.
My name is Nasser. I'm the director of Moment Star. We're a nonprofit in South Royalton. Our mission is to build a sustainable food system. After traveling and living and working in the ag business, I came to Vermont like 8 years ago. And with the vision of being able to create a sustainable food system. And I saw all this corn being grown for silage, and that got my attention because knowing that the silage corn is going into the dairy industry and seeing that the dairy industry is on a downfall, I saw the opportunity to give farmers a way to diversify from the silage business into growing sustainable heirloom corn that we can do with the food industry. With that in mind, I don't know, that's the way my brain works. I had a vision. And I had a vision of like, how do we move forward in this whole process? And how do we create sustainable food systems? So the whole thing that I saw was that I did a drawing, like, I don't know, that was 8 years ago when I first moved here. And I was with my girlfriend, and this is what I saw. I saw a lot of the derelict buildings along the railroad corridor turning into wood hubs where we can produce and give farmers access to facilities where they can process all this food, build a value-added economy, and use the railway. I feel like one of the things that goes into my mind in the whole food system is distribution, and why distribution is so expensive, and how do we remediate that problem. And that's what the railway system was designed for. You know, we're in the 21st century and we're running diesel trains in the 19th century technology, you know? And so my idea with that, serendipitously during this whole process, I ended up with a building next to the railway there in South Royalton. And I started building my little kitchen there. And I started distributing food around the state. I distribute arepas and empanadas in a lot of the co-ops. And for my community ties and my model, for me, the for-profit model is obsolete in the food industry. Because I believe that we need to find out what the real price of sustainable food is. And that goes into like how we grow our food. You know, use that all that silage fields that into buffers to protect our watersheds. Create a system that will really align with this whole regenerative vision. So with my ties in the community and I created this board of women that helped me with this whole process. They're like badass women. You understand? I have PhDs in UVM. I have people at the Land Trust. I have people that know exactly what I'm trying to do here. And it's a fun.
Are you, you're the owner of this company?
There's no ownership.
Okay, so you are a director?
I'm a
Director of, and are you profitable?
I feel like sustainable food is not profitable.
So where does your money come from?
It's hard labor. You know, we produce masa at a small scale. We grow around maybe 5 and 10 acres of corn to keep up with the demand of our products. And I think that we're lacking in infrastructure and equipment to be able to be a source for the school system. And the budget for schools is so low. And if you look at sustainable food, it doesn't equate, you know? So how do we work back from like, what does it cost to produce this food? You know, how does these people that are working on this food get a quality of life? You understand? So
Help me connect the dots as far as how you can stay in business. That's what I'm looking for. Where does your money come? I get your mission, which is admirable. We like that. But how does the money keep flowing so that you can keep doing what you're doing and you can scale and you can grow?
Exactly. So I feel like the way that we can grow is by scaling up to the equipment that we can process. Everything that we do is very artisanal, but the production is low. Like we can produce like maybe 500 empanadas a day when there's machines that produce 600 an hour, you know, and make it scalable. I feel like the labor cost is what's holding us back because, you know, to do artisanal things, But if we have equipment that we can process all this food in a more efficient way, I think that we can scale up to be able to supply the school system with like good corn local products.
But you have at a price, what is your price at this moment? Is it higher because it's AMD and maybe?
We go through a transparency process. Dartmouth is helping us create this goal. It's about like finding out what the real price of sustainable food is putting in that labor into our transparency process. We can, that's the only way that we can work up from the bottom up, like finding out what housing. I'm in the process of acquiring this building to subsidize some of the housing issues with employees and people that work in the food industry in our region. Because I feel like that's a big deter from people coming to work because the housing is so expensive, and how a person making $15 is going to be able to pay for a $1,200-$1,500 apartment. You understand? So we start people at $20 an hour because I feel like that's and I work with a lot of the community teenagers in our town, and I pay them by their age. If they're 15, I pay them 15 an hour. If they're 16, I pay them 16 an hour. And the people that work for me full time, they get paid $20 an hour.
But you're selling your product.
I'm selling my product.
Okay, and so somewhere along the way, it's full circle, you're selling and you're sustaining yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
But to get more efficient, you need to buy, and
We're in the middle of some grants that we wrote. I feel like, we need more support and see, how we could be included in this whole, design decision process, and get these ideas at a talking table that we can incorporate these thoughts about like how do we build this infrastructure to move forward? How do we give farmers access to facilities where they can process all this food and incentivize them into growing what we need to supply for, especially in the school system. Schools, the school system food needs help. And I'm happy that I was able to connect with the school farm program, and be able to help as much as we can in that process. And our thing is about transparency, like what's the cost of food?
I think we get the gist of it, sir. And anything else you'd like to tell us before we send her?
So, have to, but that I've had your, I've been honest, at the, Glory Days Parade, in South Road, and so, I am a fan of your food.
Yeah. We work for samples too.
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm working with a special corn right now.
Yeah.
It's called Sapalote Chico, and I'm very happy to share it with the community. This is the first year we've been doing it for the past 3 years, and this is the first year that we have like a big production to share with the community. And yeah, it's like something really special because the corn is probably like, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 years old. It's one of the first 19 land races, and we were able to grow it here by coincidence with a seed saver here in Vermont, a friend of mine. And it's a special corn after all the research that I've been doing on the corn. Some scientists classify the Sapalote Chico as like the most perfect plant in the planet.
Senator Major.
So, since I represent, the district where you're at, I fully, intend on you making sure I get some of that. But, more importantly, please reach out to me as far as that, your housing situation. I want to see if we can figure that out. I have a sense of pride right now. The first two people, two of the first two people are in my district. And the things that you're doing for, farm to school, I think is tremendous. So, please reach out to me and we'll talk.
Thank you, sir, for coming in. Thank you so much. Appreciate it very much. Morning.
Hello, good morning. Hi. Thank you for lots of orders to supply today. My name is Becca Karen. I'm the food hub account manager for Green Mountain Farm Direct. We're the local food hub operated by Green Mountain Farm to School based up in Newport, Vermont. And our mission is to connect schools, institutions, and retailers with fresh, locally grown food while supporting Vermont's farmers and producers. I'm here today to ask for your continued support of the Farm to School and Early Childhood Program and the local food incentive with level funded base appropriation of $500,000 each for FY26. These programs are not just investments in Vermont's 83,000 students. They are critical to farm viability, providing stable markets, increasing farm income, and strengthening our agricultural economy. Green Mountain Farm Direct partners with over 50 farmers and producers, many of whom are small-scale operations that depend on local markets. We source, market, and sell a wide range of products, from produce and dairy to meat, maple syrup, and value-added goods, to 118 schools across northern and central Vermont. By aggregating and distributing these products, we help farmers access markets that they might otherwise be out of reach. The local food incentive, the LFI, has had a significant positive impact on Vermont's agricultural economy. According to the Agency of Education's 2025 legislative report on the local food incentive program, every dollar of grant funding results in over $3 in purchasing by schools. This means that the $384,000 spent by the program in FY25 alone resulted in nearly $1.3 million invested in the Vermont food economy. These dollars go directly to Vermont farmers, helping them sustain and grow their operations. Since the LFI was introduced in 2021, Farm Direct school sales have steadily increased, providing producers with a reliable year-round market. For example, Sweet Rowan Farmstead in West Glover has seen their sales to schools through Farm Direct increase fivefold since the LFI was introduced. As farmer Paul Lazai puts it, the goal of our farm has always been to produce food for the people that live here. So if we can get our stuff in schools, that meets a lot of our goals. The impact of the program extends beyond individual farms. In the Northeast Kingdom, where many schools are small and rural, the incentive has empowered districts like Orleans Southwest Supervisory Union to invest in local purchasing. This has enabled them to source bushels of apples from Hall's Orchard in Gila, buttermilk from Butterworks Farm in Westfield, and locally grown stone ground flour from Morningstar Farm in Glover. In FY25, Orleans Southwest reached 17% local purchasing and qualified for the LFI grant, demonstrating the program's power to drive institutional demand for Vermont-grown food. These programs are not just about food. They're about building a resilient agricultural economy. Vermont's farmers face numerous challenges, as you know, from rising input costs to climate change to market volatility. Small and mid-sized farms, the backbone of Vermont agriculture, depend on these stable markets to plan for the future, retain employees, and invest in sustainable practices. When we support schools in purchasing local food, we are investing in communities. Every dollar spent in local products circulates through the local economy, supporting not only farmers, but also processors, distributors, and food system workers. This economic multiplier effect is especially significant in rural regions where farms are family-owned and deeply tied to the local economy. Vermont is a national leader in farm-to-school programming, and these programs are a big reason why. They strengthen our local food system, support agricultural communities, and ensure that our children have access to healthy, locally sourced meals. As we face ongoing challenges like changing climate, supply chain disruptions, and food insecurity, these programs are more important than ever. I urge you again to support the Farm to School Early Childhood Program with a level funded base appropriation of $500,000 for fiscal year 26. I also urge you to support the local food incentive program for schools at $500,000 level funding base appropriation. These programs are essential to building a resilient, sustainable food system that benefits all Vermonters. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Where are you in Newport?
I actually live in Craftsbury.
But where's the Green Mountain Farm Direct?
We're on Second Street.
Second Street?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do there? What to do? Are you distributing? Are you feeding? What are you doing?
Exactly. So we are basically the middleman between the accounts that want to order wholesale local food and the farmers themselves that don't want to manage the account management and they want to focus on growing food and without having to worry about hand holding and managing all the purchasing and the invoicing. And we take care of all that for them. And
So you're distributing as well?
Yes,
And so,
exactly.
and how do your orders come to you? Help me understand that.
it's basically just your regular online shopping system. So the customer will log on and they'll see all of the products that are available seasonally on the product list. So they'll be able to add them to their cart, just like any other online shop. And then we receive that order, we send it out to our producers on a weekly basis, we aggregate it on a weekly basis, and we distribute on a weekly basis.
Yeah, like,
They,
yes,
yeah, we're a partner of theirs.
Okay, so, yeah, so do you work with John Ramsey at all in that whole group? You guys are all
Yeah,
kind of tied together? I mean, John's a bigger one that helps you, or,
so
do you-
they're the freight folks and
Yeah.
we're the sales folks.
So you're a
basically
hub.
The sales.
you're
arm
there,
of
you're a spoken hub model type thing where you guys are,
Yeah,
that helps us a little bit.
yeah.
Yes.
This time of year, how are sales? Is it mainly fall? It's the busiest because that's our best time of year for crop. And then tails off through this, until
Yeah, exactly. Fall is definitely the busiest season in terms of sales. And then we're working through storage crops right now. And we really drop off and taper in April. April is our dead time because we've really run out of storage crops by that time. So we're leaning on dairy. Dairy's our biggest sales, it's dairy state. So biggest sales sector is dairy by far, and that's year round. So that's able to keep us going.
potatoes, is there a big demand? Is
Yes.
it being grown in Vermont pretty well? Is that
Yeah.
sustained all the way through the end of school?
Yes, yeah, we have year round.
Carrots, carrots are more sustainable one, or they?
Carrots taper off around spring, but potatoes we really have year round.
And all of it's sourced from Vermont, the product it is, you're not wholesaling, you're not driving into Canada, to farmers market type thing, or how does that?
No, we source all our product from within the state of Vermont. It's a really important mission of ours to make sure that we're supporting the viability of Vermont farmers.
Refrigerated? Are you refrigerated there where you're
Yeah,
at?
we
or-
have, yep, and you may have heard of the new Yellow Barn project in
Yeah,
Hardwick.
no,
The
absolutely.
huge new $8 million facility. That's gonna be a huge game changer for us in
Okay,
terms of.
so you're gonna be
warehousing.
using those services as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Most importantly, what parent family are you related to? Who's your both?
Unfortunately, I'm not one of the Vermont parents with the
Okay.
O, it's the I. at the
Oh,
end.
there, okay, yeah, when I saw that, I thought.
Yeah, I wish.
Okay, but you kind of look a little bit like, so sorry, but yeah, I know them all, so.
Yeah.
Anyways. Well, anything else you'd like to tell us before somebody comes up?
No, thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for coming.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, how are you? Welcome.
Thanks for having us here today.
Yes, thanks for coming.
Fancy big chair. Hi, my name's Aziza Malik, and I'm a fifth grade teacher at Champlain Elementary. I'm also the Vermont State Teacher for 2024. So as a teacher, I have the privilege of watching my students grow, not just academically, but in their connection to the world around them. One of the most magical ways this happens is through our farm to school programs. Food is a powerful connector. It brings my students together. It builds curiosity and fosters a sense of pride. I've seen students who struggle to engage in traditional lessons light up when they harvest potatoes, chop vegetables for a soup, or cook a meal they've seen in their own homes. These moments matter. They turn learning into something real and relevant. But I've also seen the other side when students come to school hungry. It's heartbreaking. No child should have to learn on an empty stomach. And Farm to School ensures that our students not only have access to meals, but that those meals are nourishing, local, and meaningful. Rather than just hearing from me today, I want you to hear from my students
Yes.
because they're the ones who are truly experiencing the impact of the program.
Okay.
So first,
Come on up.
tonight,
What, Champlain School?
Burlington, Vermont.
Good morning.
Hello.
All right.
Thank you for allowing.
Tell us who you are.
I'm Shanash.
What's your last name?
Me.
Thank you.
I'm a fifth grader at Champlain Elementary in Burlington. One thing I love about Farm to School is that we get to grow our own food in our garden and then see it in the cafeteria for lunch. This year, my class harvested potatoes and we made homemade French fries. I think the fries were very tasty, like the fries you get at a restaurant. They tasted so good. It's probably because we made them ourselves. Cooking them made me realize how simple it is to make real food, and I think it changed the way we eat. When you know where your food comes from, you think about it differently. We also cooked curry together, using a recipe developed by last year's fifth graders. It was really cool to see that a dish many students eat at home was now a part of our school meals. It made me feel like food connects all of us in a special way. I think every student should have the chance to experience that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm Maddie Wegner,
Welcome.
and I'm also a fifth grader at Champlain Elementary. Having a school garden connects us to our food in a way most kids don't get to experience. We can walk through the garden, pick fresh herbs and berries, and make what we call yum yum pap. They taste better than candy, seriously. And they're way healthier. Wouldn't it be better if we were eating things we grew ourselves in the garden instead of Jolly Ranchers? I never thought I'd like herbal spritzers, but when we harvested different kinds of herbs and made healthy versions of soda with what we grew, I realized it's actually really good. Instead of Sprite, we made lemon bomb spritzers, delicious and healthy. I don't think I would have tried it otherwise. Because of our garden, I know how to grow food, how to cook it, and how good fresh food can taste. Every school should get that opportunity and experience.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
thank you. You get it. What is it? Yum patches? What are those?
It's like mint and stevia, like kind of in like a little roll, and people really like them. Sometimes they put raspberries in them, but it's like really seasoned.
Well, I might have to come to Burlington and try them.
Or next time you come here, bring some with you.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Hi, my name is Ibrahim Mohammed, and I'm a fifth grader at Champlain Elementary. My favorite school meal is macaroni and cheese, and I think everyone should have their chance to find their favorite meal at school. Some students might not always have food at home, and school meals make a big difference. How can we win if we're hungry? School meals also help us try new things. Before I had 3 school meals, I never regularly ate mac and cheese. That was my favorite. I eat it every time it's on the menu. But this isn't just any mac and cheese. We use Shelburne Farms cheddar, a local cheese made with Vermont dairy, from a farm that practices sustainable farming. I've been able to visit Shelburne Farm to see firsthand how this cheese is made. Check all the varieties, including their amazing aged cheddar. All students deserve free, healthy, and local meals because no one should have to worry about being hungry at school.
Now, Mr. Muhammad. Now you're like 8th grade?
Wait,
Oh, okay. Oh, good job.
Wow.
So you just heard from my students and their stories say it all. Farm to School isn't just about food, it's about learning, connection, and ensuring that every student has access to fresh, nourishing meals. I urge you to support the Farm to School and Early Childhood Program and the local foods incentive. These programs are changing lives and they need to continue. Thank you for your time and listening to the voices of our students. We really appreciate your support.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Question. How big is your garden?
We have several gardens. So we have one, I don't know the exact size,
Are you
but
doing raised beds or?
we have raised beds. We're in Burlington. So we have one area that is like what kind of the bulk of things that we grow, things like tomatoes, potatoes, carrots, things like that. And then we have another garden that is called the sensory garden, which is where the yum yum packs mostly come from. So it's lots of herbs, things that you can taste, touch, smell, and kids love to go in and out of there at recess time. There's also a huge raspberry patch, and that's been added. So that really turned the yum yum packs into very Jolly Rancher-like candy packs. So they absolutely love all of those. We also dedicate a large portion of our gardens to working with Abenaki crops. And then we also use from New Farms for New Americans. They give us farms from different countries for
crops from different countries that we then use in our meals and cooking programs as well.
And how many other schools do you know are doing the same practice?
All of Burlington schools except for Edmonds doesn't have the space for outdoors, but they're doing a lot of indoor gardens. So all of our Burlington schools have some sort of garden. Yeah.
Very good.
And then we have a food service coordinator who comes and teaches cooking to our students. So when they were talking about the making the potatoes, French fries, that's all from someone who comes in and teaches that to our students.
That sounds,
Are you harvesting and storing or?
The only thing that we store is garlic, and then we have a really large tea garden. So we harvest lots and lots of peppermint, and then we drink tea in our classroom at least a couple of times a week. We like to do it in our reading time. Really nice tradition.
outstanding.
Good. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Sam Bronwyn and I teach at Montpelier High School, just steps from here. It was a nice walk this morning. I work with students in a variety of ways through farm to school initiatives, including helping run our cooking lab, which processes and creates delicious products from our gardens, greenhouses, chickens, and bees. I'm here today to ask you to please support the Farm to School and Early Childhood program and the local food incentive program at $500,000 level funding, base appropriation each. I want to speak broadly about how Farm to School initiatives are making a difference and impact in our schools. Imagine stepping into our classroom and stepping into outside of our classrooms and harvesting fresh greens from our school gardens, collecting eggs from our chickens, or watching bees hard work at their hive. Picture a meal cooked in our wood-fired oven, made with ingredients grown right on our canvas. This is what Farm to School looks like at Montpelier High School, and it's transforming the way we learn, eat, and connect with our Vermont landscape. Our gardens and greenhouses provide hands-on learning opportunities, not just in agriculture, but in science, sustainability, culture, and responsibility. Raising chickens and tending to bees teach us about food systems, environmental stewardship, and the importance of pollinators. And our cooking lab, it's more than just a classroom. It's a place where we turn fresh ingredients into real meals that feed our community, fostering skills that will last a lifetime. Our school hosts 3 farm to school focused community meals each year, each designed to foster connection, collaboration, and appreciation for our local food systems. In the fall, we celebrate the Fall Harvest Celebration, where students participate in service-based workshops in the morning and come together in the afternoon to enjoy a meal made entirely from local sourced ingredients. During the winter, we hold Soul and Soup, and school-wide gathering where students share soup and bread to the community. We intentionally prepare extra servings to donate to local food shelves, reinforcing our commitment to community engagement and support. To conclude the school year, we welcome the warm weather with a Pizza for the People gathering, where students prepare and serve wood-fired pizza from our earth oven for an audience of 400 plus. Each of these meals is student-led in various capacities, from planning and testing recipes to preparing, cooking, and serving their peers. These experiences not only cultivate valuable skills, but also reinforce the idea that food connects us to one another, to our local farms, and to the land that nourishes us. So I ask you again to please support the Farm to School and Early Childhood program and the local food incentive level funding.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah. Obviously, you start the growing at the end of school year, right? And so who tends through the summer?
Yeah, so we have one of our classes actually runs through the school summer break, where we use some grant funding to students get credit for half the time and they're paid for half the time through grant funding, a large portion which comes from National Life. So those students are on 1 week off, 1 week throughout the summer. So they're tending the gardens. And we plant our crops so that we time them maybe later than some a regular farm might, so that we can be harvesting those in the fall. So maybe planting tomatoes later, but someplace else, so that we can harvest them out of our house once the school year starts.
Good participation in that?
Yeah, so we have, during your time at Montpelier High School, there's not every student is participating in our houses in some capacity. Some students are doing more because they're participating in that summer program. And depending on what classes you're taking, you'll be having more or less hands-on experience. But every student grows and maintains the trays of plastics that go into the green, goes into the cafeteria, answers the any extra that it doesn't get eaten in Montpelier High School gets served at the other schools and our district.
Fifth graders, you were saying?
I'm a high school teacher, so
Okay.
the high school, but some of the food does.
And does that, have you seen that it's encouraged some people to become chefs or gardeners, or have we seen any of that? How long has it been going on?
Yeah, so we built our first greenhouse in 2011, 12. And since then, yes, we have graduates going on into that section. The head chef at Single Pebble right now is a former student.
Awesome.
Chris.
And when is the pizza day? Today, I'll let you know. I want to make sure that I have them. Yeah, I'll mostly be there. That's good. Yeah.
Well, any more questions for Sam? No. Thank you, Sam. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bijit Sawa. I teach world language and I also teach an entrepreneurship class called Lab Tech at Montpelier High School. For Sam works also. Today I'm here to urge you to support the Farm to School early childhood and local food incentive program by maintaining level funded base appropriation of $500,000 for the fiscal year 2026. 4 years ago, my French students needed a fundraiser to participate in an international exchange. One of my students suggested we sell crepes at the farmer's market. And that summer, a small motivated group of students and I brought this idea to life. We created a business plan, crafted a menu with local seasonal ingredients, and what began as a simple after-school project evolved into something much bigger, an embodiment of what Farm to School means to me. It was an abundance of learning opportunities, hands-on learning rooted in real-world experiences. Today, Lab Tech, which is the name of our great cart, is more than a fundraiser. It's grown into an accredited class at Montpelier High School where students dive into every aspect of running a small local food business. We meet with chefs, restaurant owners, our school's food service director to understand their work and also apply those insights for our own work. We explore ingredient sourcing, seasonality, sustainable practices. Our menu is inspired by what's fresh at the market. We work together to develop our collective voice as chefs and also as entrepreneurs. Last spring, Sam and I received a Farm to School grant from the Agency of Agriculture to expand and combine our programs into a year-round food trailer. So that will allow many more students to participate in this type of work in the years ahead. As a teacher, what I find most rewarding about Farm to School work is the sense of connection and belonging it fosters. I've watched students become friends while spinning crepes together. They get to know local farmers, trading crepes for vegetables and maple cream at the farmer's market. Parents come to the market to support us. And for many students, it's their first real work experience. For some, it's a chance to explore being a chef. For others, it's just an opportunity to lead and collaborate with others. When local food becomes the centerpiece of our work, we find ourselves being more grounded, more connected to the land, and more connected to each other. I hope that we'll get a chance to see you at the farmers market in the fall. Stop by our crepe cart if you see us. Most importantly, I ask you to fully fund and support the Farm to School program, the local food incentives program, and the early childhood education with level funded base appropriation of $500,000 for the fiscal year 2026. These programs are investments in education, community, sustainability, and they yield immeasurable returns. Thanks for your time.
Great. Another outstanding programs. It's awesome to hear about this. Yeah.
In high school, I was just learning how to write a check. And that's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
My name is Chichi McVicker-Kekler. I'm a senior at Montpelier High School, and I've got the chance to be part of the cooked class that Mr. Rowley teaches and the Ball Crepe class that Renové teaches. And we get to work with food grown either from our backyard in the school's community garden, a greenhouse, or locally sourced farm food in Vermont. I'm here to ask you to please support the Farm to School and Early Childhood Program with local funding-based appropriation of $500,000 for fiscal school year 2026. And also please support the local food incentive program for schools at $500,000 level funding-based appropriation. So for me, the Farm to School and Early Childhood Program has helped me build a strong connection between my friends and my community with the food that we eat, where it comes from and who grows it. So in the fall, as a member of the cooked class, I got to help organize the fall harvest celebration at our school, which starts with school-wide workshops around sustainability, and then we enjoy a school-wide meal in the gym. So the menu is selected by students as part of the cooked class, and then we get to help cook that meal throughout that class. And we get to learn about how to source ingredients locally and sustainably. And the process of collecting ingredients from our own backyard and then preparing them into a meal that you get to enjoy with your classmates is very empowering and helps me, and I know my classmates, understand the importance of sourcing food locally and the way that it helps support sustainability, small businesses, and foster strong communities. This initiative has also helped me build a connection between myself and local farmers, and something I've never put a lot of thought into before. So as a part of the Le Bon Crepe class, I got the chance to sell and make crepes at the local farmers market. So before the market opens, I was asked to walk around the vendors and get ingredients for the crepes at that market. And not only was this a cool opportunity to talk to farmers, but getting ingredients like ripe strawberries and crisp lettuce in exchange for the crepes with the ingredients they poured their care into was a beautiful exchange of products. Seeing, feeling, and tasting the joy they brought us and we brought them reminded me of the real people behind food that we eat and how meaningful that is. So again, I urge you to please support the Farm to School and Early Childhood Education programs and the local food sector. Thank you for listening, and I'll answer any questions.
Questions?
So you're swapping products, you know, what's that's called? Bartering. So I've just seen if the features that you barter rather than stating cash or money, you just swap one service for another. It's a good way to do business.
Sometimes when I went up to them and handed them cash, they'd be like, "No thanks, like I'll just take a crepe after." And
There you go.
I'm surprised a lot.
Or you're a professional barterer.
Yeah. One last.
Yes.
So being that you started this program, has it changed your thinking of what you may want to do in the future, or have you had a decision of what you're doing?
I think that it's really brought my attention into the importance of sustainability and how we're all a part of the community that we are in so many more ways than we think that we might impact. And I know that in the future, I want to help work to make our world a more sustainable place. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I want to be like a chef, but I want to.
Just want to be aware of what you consume or how you get it, how you get the product, or so you might not be a chef, but you might be a supporter, you might be a purchaser of that product.
Yeah, I think our school does a really good job of pushing sustainability on us.
Well, people, I apologize, but we are on a time constraint and we have hit our time. That's where we are. I think we get the message of what you want us to support. And I think that we could all agree that we agree with that. So especially because you're already in the governor's recommend, we wouldn't be in favor of doing anything different. But yes.
Go ahead. One last shot here. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple of years ago, I found myself at odds with some other folks of my own political party in supporting the universal school meals, but I did vote for it and have supported it all the way through here. And a presentation like today makes me glad I did. Well-spoken students and You make a great case, really do. We'll support you.
Any other, yep,
I just want to say there were, because of the time constraints and, we had two other people that were planning to present. You have their written testimonies. And if either one of them you want to have come back, I know they'd be very willing to come back and share.
okay. Any other comments from the committee?
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Thank you, very much. Thank you for coming in today. Appreciate you very much.
So I was going to present, share this report, so I wanted to just pass this.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I apologize for that time.
No worries, you guys can always call me back.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks, Rosie.
And so just to clarify, we are allowed to bring food now? Is that we can? Okay, years and years ago, we used to bring samples and snacks and we were told COVID-ish to not do that anymore. And so we're now at a place we're allowed to bring food?
Yes.
I hear yes and no.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. Okay, committee, we're gonna talk with Vermont Outdoor, folks as well. All that. Hey, folks, come on in.
Sorry, we've got some folks coming in. I'm just trying to get.
How are you doing? Good.
When we cut the not a good season.
Signed up.
Oh, wait, we're going to.
Testifiers first.
Okay, yeah.
I'll read it.
Thanks so much.
Hi, Archie.
They're on the video?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm supposed to be attached. You should be bad.
Oh, we're ready. Let's move forward because we have about 43 minutes and I want to get as many people in as we can. So we're gonna switch gears here. We're gonna talk with some folks that are here for Vermont Outdoor Recreation Day. And we're gonna lead off with Abby Long, Executive Director of Kingdom Trails. Abby and I got a history of doing, well, she does more than I, but I'm a supporter and a fan and to what the Kingdom Trails have done. Abby, the floor is yours to tell us who you are.
Thank you so much, Senator Hill, and to the entire committee. This is such a treat to share with you today. My name is Abby Long. I'm the Executive Director for the Kingdom Trail Association. I also serve on the Vermont Trails and Greenway Council Board. I'm a member of the Rec Steering Committee and I'm the board chair of the NEK Collaborative. As the Kingdom Trails are 100+ miles, extends throughout Caledonia counties, Burke, Kirby, and Lyndonville, and even Essex County, East Haven. And while we're chatting about Essex County, I do have to mention that it's actually there that the world's #2 rated mountain bike trail is located. And we're also extremely proud that 57 miles of our trail network is adapted mountain bike.
Please hold on. I think there's a.
Needs to go away.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I was just sharing that I'm also extremely proud that KT's 100+ miles of trails, 57 of those are adaptive mountain bike friendly. We've worked with partners from Kelly Brush Foundation. This is Edie, their executive director, and Vermont Adaptive Sports in order to make some of our trails, give them some adjustments in order to welcome everybody onto the trails. So therefore, KT is a world-class trail system. We are deeply intertwined with our local community. And it was actually in 1994, we just celebrated 31 years now, where Northeast Kingdom community members, private landowner,
they banded together to develop this multi-use nonprofit network that now welcomes over 100,000 visitors annually and generates $10 million dollars in annual direct spending for the Northeast Kingdom, which, as Russ knows very well, is a region of our state with significant social and economic challenges. KT's 106 private landowners, these are neighbors after neighbors, my own neighbors even, they host our trails and they know firsthand the positive economic, the public health, and even the conservation benefits of communities investing in outdoor recreation. On top of the miles of trails, Kingdom Trails has also conserved over 400 acres through the Vermont Land Trust to protect some properties, some land, forest land and agricultural lands in perpetuity. However, these private landowners that I speak of, they do not receive compensation for their generosity. Stewardship organizations such as Kingdom Trails, we are prohibited from directly compensating host landowners, as it would compromise the landowner's protection under the state's liability statute, which we are very grateful for. However, there is that boundary. So although our trails are a remarkable recreation resource with tremendous economic impact, KT wholeheartedly acknowledges this level of use places pressure and stress on the private landowners who make our trails possible. In 2019, tough to talk about, but KT experienced a landowner who chose to restrict access to mountain bikers on their property. And this was truly detrimental to Kingdom Trails' continuous network. And it also deterred trail users from visiting. These landowners, they saw area businesses in the region reaping the economic benefits of outdoor rec, but they themselves were not receiving anything, even though they were the ones posting miles of trails on their land. And these KT landowners are not alone. Vast, Craftsbury Outdoor Center, among others, have all experienced landowners withdrawing access. And just to share a few more statistics, over 70% of Vermont's public access trails are on private land and dependent on the benevolence of private landowners. And with increased demand on trail use, especially during the pandemic, we saw folks flocking to the outside to fortify their bodies and lift their spirits during that isolating time. But these nonprofit trail stewardship organizations, they're facing more and more challenges in retaining public access to these vital trail corridors. So this question of how we develop an appropriate mechanism to recognize and incentivize private landowners will be a critical component in how we retain public access to Vermont's trail system, how Vermont remains a national leader in outdoor recreation. Therefore, I am asking today, when the time comes, to please support H147. It's a bill to establish the Recreational Trail Compensation Study Committee, a proposal that would analyze how to create a mechanism to recognize landowners that provide public trail access. This proposal includes a localized outdoor recreation economic impact study to better understand the value across recreational activities and land ownership.
That bill is in commerce of Mike Marcotte committee in the House, and there will be a companion bill coming out of the Senate, and we'll see that as well.
Thank you, Russ. The $250,000 cost for this study is a vital investment in sustaining recreation on private land and supporting Vermont's $2.1 billion, almost 5% of the state's GDP outdoor recreation economy. But now I would, why I'm truly here is to introduce to you Georgia Gould. I believe it will be really powerful to hear directly from one of Kingdom Trail's 106 private landowners. But thank you so much.
I want to hear that. I just got a question.
Yes, please.
Tell me again, and I apologize if I missed it. What's the economic impact of what Kingdom Trails is doing in the Burke area?
Well over $10 million annually. And that study is from the Vermont Trails and Greenway Council, did a study in 2016. So I truly believe, since we receive more visitors than we did in the past, that economic impact is well over $10 million.
And I can tell the committee, as far as what they've built up there, mainly on their own dollar, is that it's changed the finances in that whole area. It's unbelievable what's been accomplished there. So, yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, even Essex County, which we know is one of the most challenged counties of our state. You know, East Haven now has trails there. We started building trails there about 5-6 years ago. And a brewery is now there that when hasn't even been a general store there in quite some time. So we've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yep.
Well, Georgia is here to share more. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Abby. Welcome.
Hi, thanks. My name is Georgia Gould. I'm an Olympic bronze medalist, world champion bronze medalist, and multi-time U.S. national mountain bike champion. I currently live in East Burke, and I'm a Kingdom Trails landowner. I moved to East Burke specifically because of Kingdom Trails. I wanted my kids to grow up in a place where the barrier to getting outside was low, where the pull of nature might be stronger than the pull of a screen. The Kingdom Trails are an invaluable asset. They've transformed Burke and the surrounding area into a premier destination for mountain biking, hiking, and outdoor recreation, attracting thousands of visitors annually and injecting significant revenue into our local economy. This success is built on a foundation of collaboration, particularly the willingness of private landowners to share our land. Allowing Kingdom Trails access to my land was a no-brainer. Mountain biking and outdoor recreation more generally is a big part of my life, but the same is not true for everyone. As Abby just mentioned, there were recently landowners with critical trails crossing their property who closed access to the public, and it resulted in fragmentation of our trail network. And this closure highlighted the precarious nature of our current arrangement. Landowners can withdraw their land at any time for any reason. This recent closure was a huge blow to our system and something we're hoping to avoid in the future. We need to ensure that we protect the trails that we have, and offering some kind of landowner incentive is one way to achieve that. The 106 Kingdom Trails landowners have generously participated out of a sense of community spirit, but this generosity should not be taken for granted. These landowners are essential partners in the Kingdom Trails success. They aren't simply allowing access. They're actively contributing to a community asset that benefits us all. We risk jeopardizing the future of our trail networks if we don't find a sustainable way to compensate these vital partners. Continuing to rely solely on goodwill is not a sound long-term strategy. It's simply not fair to ask landowners to shoulder these burdens indefinitely without recognizing their crucial role. We need a proactive approach, one that acknowledges the value private landowners bring to our communities and to our economy. Some type of incentive will ensure the long-term viability of all our trail systems across the state. By providing tangible benefits to landowners, we will incentivize continued participation and encourage future expansion of trail networks across the state. The economic benefits generated by Vermont trail systems, the health benefits to our citizens, and the positive impact on our quality of life are abundantly clear. Investing in our trail networks is an investment in our future. We need to create a sustainable model for Vermont's trails, one that recognizes the invaluable contribution of private landowners. I urge you to support legislation that will incentivize those who make this incredible asset possible. Let's safeguard this critical resource, not just for us, but for future generations. Thanks. Yeah.
What's the backstory on this landowner? It just up and decided they didn't want to do it. Was there problems with the mountain bikers not respecting, because that happens in the vast a lot? Or just come down that I want my piece of the pie because I see everybody else is doing it?
I can speak to that. Multiple things that you just mentioned, actually. They had been landowners since the very founding of Kingdom Trails, so 30 years ago. They're surrounded by, up on Darling Ridge, which is just an iconic area in Lyndonville and Burke, and stunning, 360 pastoral views. And there's some beautiful boutique hotels and B&Bs. And those landowners saw those neighbors, those businesses reaping the benefits, but they were not, even though they were the ones hosting trails. And yes, there were trail user behavior issues. With 100,000 visitors each year, there's bound to be a bad apple or two. And as soon as that happened, Kingdom Trails actually took a proactive approach, and with many other mountain biking networks in the region, and actually from Maine to the Adirondacks, we debuted a code of conduct called Ride with Gratitude, which has been just instrumental in education efforts for all of our trail users who visit not only our trails, but the community. And the values of Ride with Gratitude are respecting the landowner, respecting the community, respecting each other, and the actual land as well. And it's been extremely helpful with making incredible strides.
Yeah, hugely successful in terms of just the community trail. There was much less friction. I think now. Yeah.
Georgia, what Olympics?
I went to Beijing and London. So I won a bronze medal in the London Olympics.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for representing.
Thank you. Oh, it's the honor of my life.
Thank you. Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and welcome, everybody. So I got three things that I'm trying to get out there, if you will. The VOREC piece. I can remember about 10 years ago sitting with Michael Schneider, who in my opinion was the best commissioner we've ever had. And this was in Rutland, so it was just beginning to happen. But he made it so attractive that I supported that from the get-go. So the second thing I'll say is, if I were a landowner, I would have the same concerns, perhaps that damage would be done or erosion or that kind of thing on my land, but I wouldn't let that stop me necessarily. We have a real estate pro, by the way, who maybe could just buy all that land up and then we wouldn't have to worry about getting anybody's permission.
I'll sell it to you.
But I don't, and I'll support the bill if there's a mirror bill on our side. I don't know what you're thinking about in terms of compensation. And I realize that's up to the committee to decide, but if it comes down to, I'll just throw a number out, $5,000 a year, I don't know that that's going to incentivize people enough to change behavior or not.
It's such a good question. I think this is why we're taking those first steps of forming a committee to study, because I play devil's advocate in my mind too. Georgia has this many miles on her trail or her property, and this neighbor only has 1/8 of a mile, but it's a crucial connector. Or, a vast trail is much wider than an 8-inch single track mountain bike trail. And also there's the questions of, is just the payment appropriate? Maybe in my mind, I've looked to the current use program with the forest industry, which is
that's what we had kind of envisioned when I first started talking with these folks. It would be like a current use, and it would make sense to the. But again, once you do a study and all that, I mean, all ideas are on the table, and so
I think that's why it's necessary to have that study to explore.
So the third question is the bikes thing that you have on, how come they're different colors, and what does that mean?
I don't think it means anything.
Oh, that one's Crash, that one has it. So they all should be ones with Crash, because I know you have.
Also, thank you for supporting VOREC. We've been recipients, as many people in this room have been recipients of that grant program, and it has been crucial.
Is there other states out there that have a compensation that you know of?
Yeah, Washington State has a very similar program for trails as current use.
And is it been working well for them? Do you know?
I believe so. They have some world-class trails in that state. Yes.
And a little bit backstory. I certainly am not going to take only but a little bit of credit as far as getting the idea of doing this. I mean, we talked with Jill, we talked to Abby, and then
you should take full credit.
Well, I'm going to do that. But what bothered me the most was that I saw the economic impact that this was doing, and the state was doing zero. And then you look at the $10 million worth of money flowing in there, and you look at the tax revenues, you look at everything that's going on, And this isn't going away. I mean, this is just growing by leaps and bounds and leaps and bounds and leaps and bounds. And when Abby says, well, it's 10 million, if you were to go through this community on the day when people were there, you're just driving along and all of a sudden, holy cow, what just happened? And you've got bikers everywhere. All, of course, they dress colorfully. And it's like, my God, I mean, what happened here? And so when you see the impact of what it goes on, and then you start seeing what the dollars do, and then you see how it starts to impact the real estate prices and values, it's unbelievable. And so the amount of money that's flowing out of this has been basically funded by locals and from the people that have come to the trail systems to enjoy the trails. There needs to be a benefit. There needs to be a payback. There needs to be buy-in from the state because there's, we look at when I was in the community of transportation, we were spending on that for bikes. We were spending $24 million a year within the state to expand that program and to do that. And we are spending that. I guarantee you, we're still spending that today. So going from zero to just trying to figure out how we can keep this sustainable and keep the landowners happy. And, and I can tell you again, as far as where it is, and I want the study to do what the study does. But my thought process was, well, you know what? A big payment back on like a current use type thing where it comes off of your bill would be like $300. And hopefully that would be like, okay, well, I got to go up and I got to pick up a couple of soda cans and all that would keep somebody from saying, well, at least I'm getting a little something for it. And they keep them from just getting upset and shutting the trail down. And so just a thank you in some way. If it ends up more than that or ends up where it is, that's where it is. But I'd be very grateful to see what the study would, what the study would say and what the state thought that they might be able to do as we go. So sorry to do that. Who's next?
I think I'm next.
Yes.
Georgia.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just have one request.
Yep.
I very rarely get to take a picture with the Olympians.
Oh my gosh.
Together.
Absolutely. I'll be the photographer.
It's the easiest question. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning. Thanks for carving out some time for us. My name is RJ Thompson. I'm the executive director of the Vermont Huts Association. I'm going to be playing, cue with Linda. And do you want me to just give you a thumbs up, Linda, for next slide there? You can go for it. Cool. So Vermont Huts is a 501c3 organization. Our mission is to foster a deeper appreciation for our natural environment by providing enriching and immersive outdoor experiences for all. To do that, we are creating a year-round hut network for skiers, hikers, mountain bikers, birders, hunters, and anyone seeking solitude in the great outdoors. We currently have 15 huts in our network, with 3 more slated to break ground in 2025. They are located on federal, state, and private lands. All provide immediate access to long-distance or community recreational trails. We have huts as far south as Stratton and as Bloomfield. We host over 20,000 guests annually in our huts, and they range in age, the guests range in age from 3 months old to 81 years old. So we kind of transcend generations when folks stay in these huts. We provide programming for underrepresented community members through our forest program, offering free stays in our huts, complete with a naturalist, meals, and transportation. At our core, we are creating new points of access to the outdoors for everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about our Keystone project, the Belmont.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble getting it on.
Oh, no worries.
We've got this here on our,
We have it on our screen. So
You got the slide there?
Yeah.
Cool. So we're on slide 3 there.
So we can follow with you.
All right, slide 3.
Yep.
All right, great.
The Belmont is going to be, and is currently existing, a multi-use trail system that is optimized for mountain biking. So what does that mean? It means it'll accommodate hikers and skiers, but will be built with an eye towards cyclists. It connects existing trail systems and community, utilizing existing infrastructure as much as possible. For example, we co-locate with the Catamount Trail in areas where conditions and the alignment makes sense. It'll be about 485 miles long when it is complete. It'll run from Canada down to Massachusetts. So similar to the Long Trail and Catamount Trail, but for cyclists. The difference between those two trails and the Velomont is that the Velomont is intentionally routed into rural towns and villages, allowing users to stay in the backcountry one night, traverse into a nearby town, visit a local farmer's market, grab some food, head back into the mountains as they continue their adventure. Oh, nice, cool. The next slide actually has a conceptual corridor alignment here. So as you can see, the trail runs again from Mass to Canada. Some of those sections we'll discuss a bit more, but they are actually rideable. And we're focusing right now on southern, central, and northern Vermont, 3 critical areas. But you can see the number of trail systems if you decide to like zoom in on your map there. Those are a number of stakeholders that are engaged with the project. And there are also over 25 or 27 communities of which the trail will pass, and additional trail adjacent communities. So the project is multifaceted with multiple impact areas aside from just recreation alone. We're on slide 5 now. Great. Thank you, Lindy. A pro over there. So when it comes to economic impact and workforce development, we had an economic impact study done in 2020. So the figures probably need to be doubled or tripled due to inflation since then. But in all seriousness, 35,000 visitors to the trail alone, 6.2 million in total sales activity when the infrastructure is complete, which will result in over 684,000 in tax revenues here in Vermont. One of the cooler parts of the project is folks swinging hammers and building the huts and the trail itself. Over 300 young adults through various programming, think of Vermont Youth Conservation Corps, Youth Build, those individuals go through these programs while building this infrastructure. They get critical trade skills to go out into the workforce and earn a really honest and decent living. When it's all finished, we had concluded that it would support about 91 full-time jobs. Because, as we discussed, Vermont has 70 to 75% private land across the state, it's an opportunity to conserve over 200,000 acres of land. So using recreation as a catalyst for conservation. And this has happened in various pockets of the state. Katy Hill Forest, Rolston Rest down within the Green Mountain National Forest, the Trust for Public Land work done. And what that does is it also expands protection of critical wildlife corridors across the state. So this winter has actually been fantastic, but in general, as things change, species migration need these protected corridors to migrate north and south. And the Velomont happens to be aligned on the next map. You'll see that quite well with species migration corridors. So the orange line, little squiggly guy there, not super high tech, but that is the general corridor of the Velomont and the hut system. The neon green lines are species migration corridors, and the stuff that is not green is unprotected private. You jump down to the accessibility slide there. As I said at the start of the call, at the start of this meeting, we're all about creating new points of access to the outdoors, and this trail will be constructed in a way that is adaptive friendly. So that means folks on hand cycles or with other mobility challenges have an opportunity to get outside and traverse a large majority of this trail system on any new or improved sections. We are committed to building it to adaptive friendly standards. All of our new huts and hostels along the way will also be ADA accessible. So if I haven't done a good enough job of painting a picture for you, we do have a short video. It's just 2.5 minutes. Be a good opportunity to stop listening to me talk. And thanks, Linda, for queuing that up.
High in the Green Mountains of Vermont, a new trail and hut system is being blazed for a new era. It is an innovative collaboration that champions the values of recreation, inclusion, access, equity, conservation, opportunity. This is the Velomont. The Velamont is bold and ambitious. It will link 30 new huts, connect 485 miles of trails, and may conserve over 200,000 acres of land. Spanning the entire length of Vermont, it will be the largest hut-supported trail network in the United States. The Velamont will be enjoyed year-round. It is engineered for mountain biking, but it will be shared by hikers, backcountry skiers, and walkers. The Velamont is a trail for everyone. It travels through rural villages, generating sustainable economic opportunity and making the trail and huts available to all. Every new hut will be energy efficient and ADA accessible. It is building strong communities around outdoor recreation. The Velamont, world-class trails and huts for a new era.
Sorry for the glitchiness. If you want to watch it in smooth fashion, I'll send you the link directly. But thank you for entertaining me for a minute there. So what's cool about the project is actually rideable now. This isn't just a concept. There are 38 miles of trail in central Vermont that connect Pittsfield and Rochester. Those two communities have seen the benefits that Abby just spoke of in the kingdom start to trickle down to central Vermont. And there are 2 huts and 1 inn along the route. Encourage you to take a trip down there. And even if you just check out the inn, it's a really fun town in Rochester. This year, we'll be building 15 or more miles of new or improved trail. And in a couple months, we anticipate receiving about 100 miles of ready trail approval on federal lands in Rochester District and Manchester District of Green Mountain National Forest. And we'll break ground on that next.
Where's your funding coming from that right now?
Yes, we have 2 large federal grants, one through the challenge share agreement with Green Mountain National Forest, which is trail construction on restricted federal lands, and we have a HUD grant, community project funding that will fund some of the huts and hostels. So that'll cover, those 2 grants will cover nearly 1/3 of the entire project. So as you can see, it's a big project. So I'm going to go back into my spiel if that's okay. It will traverse federal, state, and private lands. The importance of connectivity on private lands cannot be understated. So when the time comes, I would love your support as well for H147 relating to establishing the Recreational Trails Compensation Study Committee, a proposal in the Vermont House that would analyze how to create a mechanism to recognize landowners who provide public access for trails. The $250,000 cost for the study is vital investment in sustaining recreation on private land and supporting Vermont's $2.1 billion with a B outdoor recreation economy. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So RJ, I'm glad you had a picture of the hut because I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
How big are they? And how do you figure out if 28 people show up one night? What happens then?
Right. Yeah. So it's a great point. Scale is key in Vermont. And so these huts are around 600 square feet. They're relatively small. So they sleep anywhere from 4 to 10 people. Okay. You can reserve them online. They are very affordable relative to some of our other, even nonprofit orgs in New Hampshire and Maine. And they sleep, like I said, 4 to 10 people. So if you're splitting it with your family or friends, the math there is pretty good. So you wouldn't end up in a situation going to a hut and expecting to have a bed and it being full. You would know in advance, on your trip in advance. Yep.
How's that get monitored? You know, I show up, see the hut, was on the trail, say, hey, doesn't seem occupied.
Oh yeah. So there's a little code. You book it on our website. We give you all the great information, maps of the trail network in the area. Then you get your code to access the hut, and you punch that in, and you go in and you enjoy your couple of nights in the backcountry. Yeah.
And then private land they're on?
Yeah, there are actually the majority of these are on private land. There are 2 on federal land, a handful on state land that are operated by other partners like the Green Mountain Club and Vermont River Conservancy, but about 10 of those 15 on private land.
And how's the private landowner handle that? Because you're going to be taxed on that.
We pay, yeah, so we handle all the rooms, meals, taxes for them. upfront when the reservations are made. We capture that and then we pay our quarterly tax.
And are they compensated at all?
Yes, because they own the structure, so they keep 88% of the revenue, and we take the Vermont Effort admin fee on the private ones that are owned by, we take 12%. It's a good deal.
Yeah. Any more questions? Thank you.
Thanks again for the time.
Thank you. Who's next?
Great, and I think I may be driving slides here, so bear with me one moment.
No problem.
How I get that. Push. I'm not gonna join audio, so I'm like that terrible reader. So, pleasure to be here. Thank you all for this opportunity to provide some of this testimony today at exciting outdoor recreation day. So my name is Shelby Sims. I serve as the Regional Vice President for the New England region with a nonprofit organization called Trust for Public Land. We are a 50-year-old national nonprofit parks and conservation organization. We've been working here in Vermont for over 35 years to deliver our mission in the state, which I will talk a little bit more about. I've also served as the conservation representative on the VOREC steering committee since 2020. And that's a big part of where some of the synergies are today that I'd love to expand upon here. So a little more about our mission, though, to orient you to why it is that I'm here as a conservation organization. So our mission is to create parks and protect land for people, ensuring healthy, livable communities for generations to come. So parks and conservation are a means to community vibrancy. That is our goal. We believe that access to the outdoors is a fundamental human need, and it's essential to our health and well-being. And we know that communities that place a high value on outdoor access and are in a position to act on that are healthier, more resilient, and more equitable. So a little bit about our track record as an organization here in Vermont specifically. Everything we do is in partnership with either nonprofit, mostly land trust related organizations, local municipalities, town governments, state governments, agencies, and federal agencies. Over the last 35 years, we've either protected or made possible over 220 miles of trails and 71,000 acres of publicly accessible land across the state. And you'll see that that is everything from long trail, catamount, vast, community level trail systems, and newly strategic partnership with the Vermont Huts Association and the Belmont Initiative that RJ just spoke about. And I'll need a whole nother witness testimony to just pile on all the good things about what they are doing. The world needs some good big ideas, and that is really one of them, building on the success of the big idea of community trails. So just to illustrate a little bit more, one of the first projects we were involved with was establishing a section of the rail trail on the Burlington waterfront. So our mission, we like to talk about it from Main Street to Mountaintop. We serve urban, more dense communities with parks and outdoor open space, and rural communities and sort of landscape scale conservation. Other examples, we helped establish the Berrytown Forest on a section of the Millstone Trails Network in partnership with Rock of Ages Corporation that was selling their portion of their land. We established the Blueberry Lake section of the Green Mountain National Forest in the town of Warren in central Vermont. We helped the town of West Windsor acquire the approaching bankruptcy Escutney Mountains. And my oh my, what has been unleashed in that community as a result of local ownership and control of that asset, and a marriage of long-term conservation and outdoor recreation. So the list goes on. I did want to mention a couple of the sort of pressure points and the stressors in this state that we're hoping through our work to alleviate or meet and close the gap on. So from a conservation and a land use perspective, we're motivated to stem the loss of forest land conversion in the state. So the USDA Forest Inventory and Analysis Data Program which has collected information of forest land cover for many, many years, has shown that we're losing about 10 to 12,000 acres of forest land in Vermont annually. So that's really the canvas and the backdrop of a big part of our outdoor recreation landscape.
Does it say to what?
So that would take, there are multiple drivers behind
That's a lot of land. Yeah.
Yeah. 63% of Vermont's conserved land provides public access. And, you know, when we look at that compared to other states, it is a little bit lower. That has to do with approaches to farmland conservation, which in other states require public access. I'm not here to tell you that farmland, conserved farmland should require public access. There's a significant and meaningful reason that it doesn't. But the majority of forest land conservation in the state does require passive public access, particularly if there's public money going into that, federal or state. And so that can be a significant driver of expanding passive public access on the conservation landscape. Some analysis that we've done as an organization and trying to close the gap to close to home outdoor access. We found that more than 1 out of every 5 Vermonters lacks close to home access to the outdoors. So we define that as more than a 10-minute drive to publicly accessible, permanently protected open space. And furthermore, we've looked at K through 12 schools across the state as sort of a proxy. Thinking about distance from home is a tough analytic lens in a state like ours with low population density. So we took an approach of looking at how you can access the outdoors from K through 12 schools throughout the state. And we found that 43% of our schools lack walkable, open space or park area that's permanently protected, and that's of an acre or more. We also found that if communities, schools located and serving low-income communities or those suffering from poor mental health are 1.5 times less likely to be served by a protected open space. So what are we doing about that? I'm showing you another map here, but while I do that, I'd love to explain a project that we've been involved with lately and you might be aware of. We've partnered with the town of Wolcott, Vermont, to expand the ownership of town-owned lands in that community, actually in the village center. And that town has now acquired 800 acres of land immediately adjacent to their elementary school. And it's a great expression of how outdoor recreation, vibrancy, village vibrancy, close to home access to the outdoors or close to school access to the outdoors can be married with a really robust ecological protection. So about half of that property is prioritized by that community for really low impact. We've put into the deed, the deed held by the town, the possibility that a backcountry hut could be located in the future if that's something that they would like to do that marries with some of the conservation restrictions.
And the rail trail goes through Wolcott too, right? Yeah. And
the OREC community grant program has made a $200,000 grant to the town of Wolcott to develop a 5-mile trail. We're actually managing the development of this with Sinuosity, which is a trail developer in the state. A 5-mile trail that's going to connect the LVRT, the village, the elementary school, and go through the more higher impact, high use portion of this in the town forest. So it's a project that kind of illustrates the range of different community and ecological benefits that can happen even in one pretty small section of land. And we're really proud of it, and we hope to be cutting the ribbon on the trail.
And I know when the rail trail, the Lemoyne Valley Rail Trail was making its way through, especially as it got into the Danville area, St. John Ferry area, they were looking for ways of how are we going to make sure that one, that the people using the trail would have access to get into town and to be able to get into these essential services and what would be needed, food, water, shelter, what have you, emergency care if you would need that. And, you know, so how that was all going to work. And I know that on the Danville side of it, we were actually appropriating monies of that with transportation to make that happen. So to have you guys do that simultaneously just makes it all work.
Yeah, it's a really special, example of building also on the investment of the LVRT, you know, these nodes of vibrancy that sort of spine, creates opportunity for. And I know that is a section of the state that the Belmont is co-located, but the LVRT there, so some tie into RJ's testimony. So thank you for your support there and involvement. I will also mention in Wolcott, town is actually using a small section of the newly acquired town forest for some wastewater development to try to help the ability of the town to grow its downtown village and, you know, kind of capture revenue of locals and visitors associated with our business there. So I want to close by just underscoring a couple of pieces, especially since I kind of bring this conservation perspective to the outdoor recreation context. And many of you may be very much on board with this already, but I want to underscore how conservation and outdoor recreation are deeply intertwined. Outdoor rec and trails or other outdoor recreation activity, hunting, fishing, waterfront access can be drivers of conservation, as in addition to some of the other drivers of conservation, which may be food production or wildlife habitat and other values. The other piece to the point that you raised, our landscape is rapidly transforming. So what we think we see now that feels permanent, stable, is obviously rapidly transforming, both from a climate perspective, but really also from the outdoors part of outdoor recreation and the stability of our forest land resources. So for that reason, the landowner recognition and certainty that my colleagues have spoken to already is something that we're very supportive of. I've explained that the value of federal, state, nonprofit conserved areas for conservation, for outdoor recreation purposes, but we recognize that the landowner, the private landowning footprint, much of which is privately conserved, is an essential part of the long-term durability and success of the outdoor recreation landscape. I also want to mention that the Act 59 30 by 30 process will hopefully lead to ongoing investments in the stability of the outdoors part of outdoor recreation. And you may be hearing more in a few days on this, but VHCB investments are also very important to upholding and improving this sector's vibrancy in the state. So I'll close there, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Questions?
Also,
Thank you.
We're bumping up against our time, which we apologize. We'd like to have you guys here all day long. But we say very much. We got to take a break because we have a picture ceremony that's going to go on over here.
We're going to our press conference upstairs. So
okay.
Yeah,
So
thank you so much.
committee will take like a